What's going on, guys? Welcome to TK's Garage 405. As you can see here, I made a little progress this week. I guess it was more last week. I was actually gone the bulk of this week, so hammered out a bunch of stuff at the beginning of the week here. I was debating putting it together in the other video, but I've been so busy, so didn't have time to do that, but I'll kind of show you what we got going on today. All right, this is probably going to be the last startup of this engine before it starts getting pulled out of here, so I'm just going to start it up and let it run for a second here, even though it's leaking antifreeze, just to flush out, because I had the the air cleaner off of it, so I kind of forgot. And then when it started spraying, I think it got a little bit in there, so just make sure it's not sitting in the cylinders. Run her out. Going to be nice to start getting this thing changed here, so good enough for now. All right, guys, so I'm going to start pulling the bumper off this thing. I thought I wouldn't get anything else done, but I figured it's Monday. I usually drop this video Monday, which I probably still will, but I figured I'd do a little bit more here today because I figure I could get some stuff done while I'm not too tied up here. Nothing super exciting happening today, so let's take all the headlights off. Pretty much know all these bolt sizes and everything by heart already. I've done it so many times. I was going to take the hood off, but I can't lift it off myself, so I will have to wait on that. The last time I put this back together in Iowa, I never put the bolts in the fenders and stuff. That's why you feel if you look at it, it's still loose there because I knew I was going to be taking it apart again pretty soon. So I'll put these all in a super safe place where I'll never forget about them now. I wonder if I even put the 4 bolts back on. 3 of the 4. Probably helps if I was loosening it. My wife was with me last time we did this, so she bagged everything and had names on them all. Probably a smart thing to do, but I figure if I do it myself, then it's weight loss. So of course, I slept rough last night, so my back is sore today. I don't know why everybody knocks on Ryobi tools. These things are amazing. The only thing that would maybe be a disadvantage would be the size of the battery, but on the new designs now, they've come up with so many different angles and stuff that the way that the batteries sit, that it doesn't really matter anymore. Honestly, they're never really in the way, and people don't realize they're basically the same. They're made in the same factory. I actually had Milwaukee before, and I didn't care for them as much because I felt to me like the batteries didn't last very good. So that's part of the reason that I have Ryobi's. Either way, I'm not knocking either one of them, but I just think it's funny when people say, "Oh, I can't believe you have Ryobi's. Those suck." It's like, man, these are some of the best tools out there. I'll show you guys what I was talking about. Up until like a couple of weeks ago, or probably a month ago or something, we've been doing nonstop home renos here. My son dropped this off the top of the ladder, but this thing was, I think I bought this in 2000. If it wasn't for him just having dropped it, it would still work perfect. And actually, as a matter of fact, I'd like to reach out to Ryobi and see. It got busted up here, but I actually like this design. I have another drill right here. I'll show you a comparison here, but this is the one that just came with a kit that I got. You can kind of see the differences there. So this one just isn't, I don't know. It has good power and all that kind of stuff, but number one, it doesn't have all these two holders for so you can have Phillips and Robertson on there. The other thing is it just, I don't know, it feels like it just doesn't, actually, as a matter of fact, just feeling these two, this one's way heavier. I'm not sure what that's about. But anyways, just kind of show you guys like how they do last. Like there's nothing wrong with Ryobi. I said each to their own. Not if you want to not use them, or if you want to use Milwaukee, or if you want to use Snap-on or whatever you want to use. They're all tools made for a purpose. Even if you watch like Rust Valley Restorers there, even Mike from Rust Valley Restorers said like, hey, just get some tools or whatever, and it doesn't really matter what they are. Like even if they're just like some tools from Harbor Freight or something, or just to get you working. Or Canadian Tire has like actually really good tools. I've got Canadian Tire tools that I've used for same thing over 20 years probably, and they work really good, and sometimes they go on sale for really good prices and stuff. Like that's the one thing I miss in in the US is that they don't have something like Canadian Tire, because I feel like that's actually kind of one big thing that's like a big thing that's actually missing here, is like a one-stop shop parts store that's got like better quality type stuff. So that's kind of a little bit of a disappointment or whatever, but like I said, it all works. Nothing wrong with any of it. Oh, did I actually put the top one on this one? No. So, oh, I missed one. Yeah, this bumper cover is pretty rough. I would like to replace it. I'd actually just like to put a whole new front bumper on it, but if anybody's got one of those, preferably in Oklahoma, hit me up, because I actually found one in Iowa a long time ago, and then I sort of got busy and forgot about it, and it looked like it was in a lot better condition than this one, because I want to paint this car shortly here. Once I get all this stuff done, that will be next on the list of things I'm going to do to it. So I told my son the other day, I was like, well, that was part of the reason that I bought this LS engine, is because like I'm just kind of over it here. If I have the car and I'm paying insurance on it and I'm paying to own it and I've had it for this many years, like if I'm being honest, I haven't really driven the car. So I built this engine that's in it in 2018, I think it was 2019, somewhere in there. I think 2018, and then put it together, and never had a chance to do anything with it. It never really worked right from the day I put it back together there because of these heads. So yeah, it just does. And then before that, there was a hole in one of the pistons there after I had some like small chamber heads on it. I had too much compression for pump gas and finally just rattled it apart or whatever. So I don't even remember, to be honest, before that when I drove it. Probably, I mean, that was probably 4 or 5 years before that since it actually got driven as well. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, you know what? Probably, maybe even more than that actually. So it's sat for a long time. Like I said, it's always been a budget car, and parts were so expensive in Canada. And you know, earlier on, it just seemed like it wasn't like parts were so expensive, and it didn't seem like to make a bunch of sense to fix a car like this. That, I mean, looking back now, these things are getting more and more hard to find. Like the car is pretty rust free pretty well. I mean, honestly, it's going to be easy to paint in that aspect. It's got a couple little dings and dents, but nothing more out of the usual. But you know, that's kind of something that's like, you know, to find a car that's like fairly rust free and whatnot there that you can actually do something with, you know, I mean, that's, you know, there's just not really that many out there anymore. So this is, I should do a thing on my tool sometime, but this is like, we call it Grandpa's wrench. This is from my grandpa's farm back in the, I mean, my grandpa's probably had it since the 50s or something like that, but like a double-ended box wrench there. It's been beaten up a lot over the years, but it works really good. 9/16 half inch there. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I've had it forever there. I've got a bunch of wrenches like that. So all right, on to the next one here. All right, so start taking all this stuff off, I guess. Radiator shroud. I gotta actually get underneath there for this one. Unless I was, no, I actually put the bolt in. Oh, maybe I can get it up here. Need an extension, maybe? You can see I'm actually working in TK's garage for once. As you can see, why I don't ever work in here, because we have so much renovation stuff and it's so small. From like, I went from having like, in different places, I always had like workshops that I worked in that were huge, to like having, oh man, wrong size or what? To having like a lot smaller. I don't know what this is, probably 22 by 22 or something, I'm guessing, which is pretty small. At least compared to what I've had in the past. What the heck, man? Is it actually 10 millimeters? Isn't it fitting then? Ah, yes, it is. I have lots of tools, and I still have tons of tools in Canada yet in storage, but I haven't gone back to get them. Even if I did, I would have no place to put them anyways. Really, I guess what this garage is lacking, and I didn't really think about it when we moved in here, is I should have automatically set up shelving right off the get-go there, so that I had some place to like at least put like the totes and things like that. The thing is, I don't want to set up a full garage in here and then end up having to move everything into a shop, because that was kind of the ultimate goal here, is to get to an actual shop. So it may not seem like it, but we've actually done a lot in this house. It's been quite the progress here, but every time we think we're going to move forward with our kitchen, some other $3,000 or $5,000 thing comes up. The latest was my septic. We were having a problem with our septic not draining. So I ended up having to, I got a backhoe and I dug all that up and whatever. Got that figured out. So we will see how I make out with that, but it ended up being, at least our leach lines weren't bad, which was good. That was, because that could have been expensive, but ended up being that it was just the actual, it was just plugged at the, oops. It was just plugged at the septic tank. I've never dealt with like leach line systems like this, so this is kind of all new for me. I have a pretty general concept because that's my background is water, wastewater stuff, so I knew what it's supposed to be doing. I just didn't know exactly how it was supposed to be doing it. I'm just wondering if the way they had this fan wired, maybe it was backwards or something, because this car has never gotten even remotely warm. Before this engine, I drove it all over the place. And actually, as a matter of fact, I drove it from like Maidstone to Lloydminster with this engine on the highway on the interstate, and never, I guess not the interstate, but the pretty much double lane highway. Without any issues, so I know I'm not going to get this done today, but figured I'll work out on it as much as I can. See what we can actually accomplish here. The hardest part, honestly, is going under the car to like unbolt the exhaust. This thing actually has like really nice Edelbrock headers on it. The guy I got them from was a friend of mine. I bought them years ago. Like I said, this car was like pretty much a conglomeration of everybody else's used parts at one point there. So, but it's got these Edelbrock shorty headers with a Y pipe or whatever. Probably made less power because of that, but it was a lot nicer having exhaust than running around with open headers like I did forever. So I should actually wipe this down a little bit because there's like antifreeze all over everything here. Bust out the old tub of towels. If you guys haven't tried these, I am in no way affiliated with these guys, although I wish I was, but tub of towels work amazing. I didn't sleep good last night. Tired today. You guys saw in the last video there where it blew and freaking blue antifreeze all over everything here. That's why I said I'm going to actually pull it out and I'll pull the engine out and I'll take it outside and I'll pressure wash under the hood and everything here. Crazy how antifreeze just got everywhere. Not ideal. Definitely don't want that sitting in places. To be honest, I was hoping when I pulled this engine out that I could pull it out, paint the engine bay, and then put it back together, but I suppose I could do that and just do it like a quick, I don't know, there's so much stuff under the hood here. I don't know, like, I don't know how I would do it, to be honest. There's like so much wires and things, like I kind of showed you guys that before. Like, I don't know what half this wiring does over here. Like, I think a lot of this is just from when it was fuel injected yet, because this car was originally a V6 2.8 multi-port fuel injection, so not exactly sure what half of these wires over here do. I wish I could clean it up a little bit there. Some of these wires probably aren't going to be for anything actually important either, I'd imagine. All right, well, I'm gonna have to start draining some antifreeze now, I guess, so get at it. All right, I put this thing up on jack stands here so that I could see if I can put a 5-gallon pail underneath to catch any of the antifreeze that's going to come out. I know I'm not going to catch it all, and I know most of it's going to be to the back now, but I think most of it was out anyways after it ended up leaking out here. So just going to grab a 5-gallon pail here. This thing needs to be washed out anyways. And then we'll see. I know if I pulled the drain on this one, actually this one might be a different rad. You know what? I don't know. What should I do first here? Which one's going to make the most mess? Probably just put it under the big rad hose and do that one first off the water pump. That would make the most sense. Should just have my toolkit over here, but that's okay. Flat screwdriver. Some of these screwdrivers are ancient too. I don't know. Oh, see, look, they're Craftsman. Oh, Craftsman. Where did I steal those from? Craftsman. Craftsman used to be Sears in Canada, I believe. I don't remember buying Sears tools. If I did, they were probably used when I got them. I guess there still is antifreeze in there yet. I wasn't expecting there to be a whole bunch, but there's a possibility that I was wrong apparently here. Let's see how much of a mess this is going to make. Unless I got cardboard on the floor, it's already covered in. It's already covered in oil, so not like I'm going to make things any worse at this point. I really wish we would have done the Rust-Oleum on the floor like we originally wanted to do when we moved in here, but we just got so pressed for time. This house has definitely been a new experience for us. It's had a lot of problems that we weren't anticipating, but everybody just keeps telling us, oh, just why aren't you finishing it? How come you're not just doing things like, oh man, you know. Apparently there was a lot more antifreeze in there than it was appearing at first glance. Oh man, come on now. Okay, well, I caught a lot more of it in the bucket than I would have, so there's a win. If you guys ever want some good shop rags, these are, I just grabbed these from O'Reilly's Auto Parts. They're not good for a lot of things, like they leave like lint, so if you don't like having lint on things, like if you're wiping dashes or something like that, it's kind of annoying that way, but they're really good, just like quick rags that are actually like pretty tough. Like they don't tear like they're just like a regular paper towel or whatever I should say. So let me just give this floor a little wipe before I track a bunch more all over my shop already. Man, as I just did. Okay, apparently that went a little bit farther than I was anticipating. But how much is going to be left in the block when I tip it back forward now? Oh man. Sometimes things aren't the best. Might as well just put these back where I got them from, because otherwise I'll probably be losing them. I don't know how I've not lost too many screws for this thing. I've had this car apart so many times. We used to change engines on the weekend and stuff there. When I first got it, I changed, I don't even know how many times, changed the engine on it. I think 3 times back to back there within like 3 weekends, because I kept getting them from I kept buying them from a auto wrecker that have guaranteed warranty, and then I put it in and it would smoke like a freight train or whatever. Take it back, go find another one. You have to pull it yourself too. So that was a whole ordeal. Of course, and then back then I had like literally no tools. I don't even know how we changed engines, to be honest. So that was fun. Did that 3 times before I finally built this engine. Yeah. All right. Just throw this in the trash here. Should just have the trash beside me. All right. That's probably the worst part of changing is draining all the fluids and trying to get the exhaust off this car. And actually, I used to have a collector. Now that I'm just thinking about it, I used to have a collector that I could take the exhaust apart. And when this guy bought the car and he put this 3-inch mandrel bent exhaust, I gave him the exhaust, but I never had it on the car. He just welded it together, I think. So that might be a problem too. End up having to cut that off. So, Look how melted some wires after that last run there. Good thing to look at these headers though. I wonder if that LS engine is going to sit in the same spot. So don't know if I have. I'll show you guys what I got from mounts here. Just kidding. I don't have a motor. Thought I did, but I just bought a set of aluminum mounts that the factory clamshell mounts go onto from Amazon. And then I got there is a mount that is for a Turbo 350. Sorry, not a mount, flex plate. You put the flex plate on, and then it's like a different kind of length of bolt and a different thickness of flex plate, and that's supposed to just allow it to go straight to the Turbo 350. So I've always, like, when I pulled them apart, I always just like mated them together outside and then put it back together as one piece. I think it goes easier that way. This garage isn't deep enough to do that, so I'll probably have to roll the car outside, slide it in, and then push the car back into the garage. Something along the lines of that, and then probably put this engine on an engine stand, freshen it up, and put it in my son's truck after that. So see if we can get everything figured out. Probably, like I said, probably not going to use these heads. I was debating doing a giveaway for these heads because I'm sure somebody could figure them out, but for some reason my engine was not happy with them. I don't know, maybe just something I'm doing wrong. I'm not super good with valve train anyways, but like I said, I've done a bunch of them and I've never had issues, so I don't really know, but it is what it is, I guess. Let's start taking other hoses off and see how much more antifreeze leaks out, I guess. Get the radiator out of here. Slacking here talking to you guys instead of working. It's been a while since I've had this car fully apart. I guess not really. I guess I did it in Iowa. But I didn't fully take the engine out there. I was going to, but it was probably a good thing I didn't, because then I would have had to deal with bringing it here in pieces. And that wouldn't have been very good either. Oh, yeah. Definitely some antifreeze in that hose. Would rather not. Must be on this side of the thermostat, that's why. Not too much. Okay. Hopefully all these hoses and everything work on this new engine. So that side off. Got to do a little cutting here, get some of these zip ties off. Man, antifreeze on the floor is the worst. The worst. Oh, I wonder if I'll remember. The red wire goes on the bottom of the alternator. I guess it doesn't matter because the car has a new has an alternator. I don't know if that's gonna work though. Again, I don't know anything about this, so this will be a learning experience. I'm forcing myself out of my comfort zone to do this. People do it every day though, so it can't be that complicated. People that shouldn't be able to do it every day still do it every day. So all right. Just kind of show you guys things I've never really noticed before because it started to rust a little bit from the inside, you can see. And obviously this is Bondo. Like I would have never known that. I never really thought to check, but ironically, that's the same on the other side. And the one that I replaced, you can kind of see if you look close there. It's, well, if you look right there, it's got a bunch of Bondo on it. You couldn't tell when I picked it up, at least I didn't at the time. Probably would notice more now, but yeah, it's almost needs two fenders then, because once I start sanding on that side, I'm worried about what that's going to be like underneath there. All these aftermarket fenders just don't fit great though. That's what I don't like about it, but I don't know, maybe reach out to AMD and see if they can help me out or something here. Said right after I do this, I'd like to paint this car, so I don't really want to put it back together with all of the stuff that I'm going to be having to change again later. It doesn't make sense to me, so I'm thinking, see, this is what I was kind of talking about. If you look down here too, that was never like that before I sold it to that guy, the last guy there. He had it briefly, and like I said, it sat in a field, and that's where all this rust that you're starting to see is just from him having it for those, I mean, a couple of years or whatever it was there. I guess it was a while. He had it for, I think I might have sold him to him in 2020-ish, something. I don't remember exactly. I'd have to look back. I have pictures, but anyways, he had it for a few years anyways. But he only drove it a couple times allegedly. Yet the whole bunch of stuff was changed on it, so this is kind of what the deal is. I told you guys before, everything's like kind of a mess under the hood here. Hopefully doing this LS swap, that'll help clean up a bunch of this. I don't know what else you can do other than wire loom, like where you're going to put it up to like alternator and things like that to make it look cleaner. Like probably some better solutions to that. So if you guys know of any of that kind of stuff, and you can see I didn't really bolt up this fender very tight here, but it's doesn't fit the best there either. That gap is not the best. I could live with it if it was a new one, I guess, but I'd have to just bend it down here a little bit. But so I was going to show you, like, so these are these Edelbrock headers, and they're actually like a really nice header. They fit super good. There's tons of room for plug wires. You can see where the actual bolt is from the bottom side there. Not ideal to get at, but it's not the worst. It's just definitely not the best. And you can see this side too. It's got tons of clearance. So they're awesome headers for that. Like if you're looking for a header that you just want tons of room, you can kind of see down in there. There's the connection. So that's the easier side of the two to get at. You need extensions and everything to reach from the other one. But so I guess I'm going to start pulling the accessories off now, and then see what I can do from there. So yeah, get out of here. All right, on to the next one here. This thing originally had a clutch fan, so it's just got bolts in here for the water pump. All this stuff's super easy to take apart because it's actually missing a couple brackets here. I've never had them, just never. Well, they were on when I first got the car. That was a lie. But I never felt the need to run them. So, in this car, like, it was always a 5,000 RPM engine, and that was one reason I wasn't sure about whether or not giving it to my son, because you know I've always been a really good driver, and you really got to be paying attention. Like, I know I've had it to like 55 a couple times there, but that would be like probably the absolute max. Like, it might do 6, but I don't think it would do very many times. It's just the oil system and everything, and it's just all stock bottom end yet. So it'd probably, if you accidentally slipped and you went to 6, it might be okay. But if you did it multiple times, don't think it would live very long. So like I said, I've always ran to like 5, maybe 52. That's the factory tach too. So I don't know, you know, that could be off by a couple hundred RPM either way. So, but it was never like a revving motor. So just how I kind of ran it or whatever. But yeah. And I never had power steering, so when I got it back, it was funny that I've got power steering now, but now the power steering pump doesn't really work anyways, so that was a bust. See, I don't know what everybody's beef is with Ryobi tools, but they work fine for me. I will say the ratchet, I wish maybe the battery was on a different angle in this one though. That could be an upsell for me. But, all right, what size do I need here? I was asking people about what they think I should do. What I could do better in my videos, which I'm always open. I don't take any sort of criticism about it. Like, as far as like, I'm open to ideas because I'm so new at this, and I really don't know a lot of things that I'm maybe overlooking or whatever. So, but somebody mentioned like maybe try to do a little more editing on your videos and stuff. And to be honest, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. My biggest issue is like, I work so much. Like, I'm so busy between working. I mean, honestly, the last month I've barely been home. I've been working so much, and when I am home, I'm working on the house. Like the other day there, it just seems like every time I touch something on this house, it's some sort of disaster. I decided to, hey, let's do something easy, and like, because we know we're not going to be doing our whole electrical system anytime soon. So I figured, I mean, as far as like rewiring the entire house. So I started changing some wires, or sorry, some plugs to the house and whatnot there. Like something as simple as changing some outlets. I mean, I've done a bazillion of those in my life. And of course, nothing is ever easy. It ends up being like a huge ordeal there. So I ended up changing a couple light switches and a handful of plugs there, whatever. And it was just like, it fought me the whole way. And then when I finally got done, I was like, holy cow, man. Like, it usually takes 15 minutes to change a plug, and it was taking me an hour. The wiring is so ridiculous. There's no ground wires in half the house and this and that. So, and they were like I was telling my son, so like they wanted to add additional wires, right? So for like a second switch. So instead of like maybe daisy chaining it over something, the wire was like this, and they just like stripped the middle of the wire, wrapped it around, and then went to the next light switch or whatever. Like, just a lot of dumb. But anyway, so then I put all that, and I put a GFI plug in our bathroom and stuff. So we had all new stuff there. Cool. Everything's good. Turned everything back on. Everything seems fine. My son comes home. He's like, hey, how come there's no power in the bathroom? I'm like, what? Which bathroom? He's like, our bathroom. I'm like, I didn't even touch your bathroom. What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, there's no power there. I'm like, oh my gosh. So then the hallway lights are out and the bathroom lights are out. And so I go back and I pull all the covers off again, make sure everything's tight. I didn't overlook anything or whatever, do all that or whatever. I'm like, man, I didn't miss anything. I kept looking. And finally I'm like, man, I should go back. The only one I haven't touched, which I didn't want to even open up again because it was the hardest one to do, was the GFI plug. So in a really weird spot and whatever, I could barely reach it. And so then I do that. And of course, I'm like, man, this thing's like hot. I'm like, why would it be hot? It's like exactly how it was wired before. There's nothing to really go wrong here. Well, apparently there was. So I decided, I'm like, man, this is the only other one I haven't touched. I'm like, maybe just for the heck of it now that, because it's warm. Like, it's like, maybe I'll just put a regular plug in it. Just to see. So I did. And of course, as soon as I put the regular plug back in, everything goes back to normal, except for there's one plug going to the fridge. And it's funny, like this house will be like, there'll be like a bedroom over here, and there's like 2 plugs over here, something like that, on that breaker, and then another like switch or plug or something on the other end of the house that's on the same breaker, instead of it being like this bedroom, that bedroom, that bedroom, or something like that. Like, I know it's a small little panel, but I don't know if something got hot in there and just ended up wrecking something to the wires there. So that was kind of scary. So not ideal there, but slowly just replacing one plug and one switch at a time, and we're going to try to rewire them, but it's just going to take time. We don't have a big enough panel box right now to like actually do anything as far as that goes. I can't add more or even run new wires or anything because we don't have a big enough panel box. And then I'm shutting off breakers, and they're so worn out, they're like coming out of the box as I'm shutting them off. It's like, yikes. So that's been my regular life. I normally pull like the water pump and all that stuff off of it before I pull it out. I don't know if I'm going to do that this time. I just leave that on because it doesn't. I don't know if that'll be an issue space-wise to get it out of here. Possibility it might. All right, I'll take the water or take off the power steering pump, I guess. Put the old pan over here and spill all that on the ground next. I think my car is going to go a lot easier than my son's because his truck has never been apart, and the last couple of years here it's definitely started rusting, so we will see there, I suppose. All right, find what size wrench I need for that. All right, I pulled off a couple of the front accessories. It takes me a while to find wrenches and things like that. At least I'm nice and close to the toolbox here. Tiny little garage or whatever, but going to start taking off this other stuff here. I don't want to lose any of this because it is kind of important. So some of these small clips, I don't even know if you can buy these clips anymore, to be honest. I remember looking for them one time and I could not find them, so another zip tie in there. Put this back on there so it doesn't get lost. He's gonna need that for his truck. And then there, like maybe I need a small wrench. See, I'm starting to use my car as a tool holder again. It's probably 3/8. Yeah. Actually, it's probably 10 millimeter. So, try to that off there. Slowly acquiring better tools as time goes on here. I've got a couple nice sets of ratchet wrenches that kids bought me for my birthday or Christmas or something, I forget. I just took the gas line off. The gas in this is pretty dirty, so I'm almost thinking to get this thing running, I'm probably going to buy an inline fuel pump. And I'm kind of thinking maybe I should just run it out. So I know for sure. Like I put 5 gallons of gas in it, but that was already a year and a half ago in Iowa. And then before that, who knows how bad that gas was. And I suspect that guy that bought it did not put premium in it. And that this car has always had, the bulk of the time, unless I couldn't get it, it had non-ethanol premium. I think locally when I lived in Watson there, I can't remember if I could get non-ethanol or not, but But I know the gases never looked like that when I had it, so. Even after it sat for years and years. So, hopefully this engine is what the guy said it is. Like I said, I'm generally pretty hesitant of buying used things like that anyways, but I took a chance with this one. He had pictures posted of all the stuff that they put into it for parts, but then he had posted, he sold a MSD 6014 box, which what I'm suspecting happened there was he didn't realize that that was a 24X box that he gave me with it. Oh, that's good. Dumping a bunch of fuel in the engine. But yeah, I don't think he realized that, and so then he probably had to buy the 6014 to get it running. And then I think he needed money because he just had a kid, so he sold the 6014 and gave me the original box that he had with it, but that was just the LS1 box, which is supposedly, a couple guys have told me, and I think they might be possibly right, that it doesn't work with this engine because this engine's a 58 reluctor. So I don't know. I'm learning, right? I had no idea. I didn't even know what to look for when I bought this. I just saw it was complete, ready to run, so I just decided to take a flyer on it, and hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me there, but you know, I try to trust people as much as I can, and for the most part I've never had too many issues, but sometimes things happen, so I'm not worried about the engine as much because it's pretty rare for an LS engine to go bad. You see my truck has 400,000 miles on or whatever, but I'm just hoping it has the cam that he said and stuff. It has the springs upgraded. You can tell just by looking in there, the springs are brand new. So I don't see why he would lie about it. And it looks like to me like the front cover was off. So I don't know if I should just pull the front cover off once just to double check. Like, what am I going to do about it now, I guess? I've debated trying to start it on the stand or something, which might not be the worst idea I've ever had, to be honest. So, I guess, take the distributor off there, see if we can get all those off without wrecking anything. Some people will pull this with the distributor cap on, which I've actually done that years ago with the very first engine we ever changed on my square body truck. I had actually the exact same truck that I had not too long ago here, but and when you're tilting it, you'll end up cracking the cap. So if you just take it out, then usually you can leave the distributor in and pull the cap out. So this would be like the one wire I just pulled off would be your tack wire. This is your hot wire. And then, I don't know, whatever these other wires are, they just go to the distributor. I forget exactly what they do, but they distribute things. All right, that off there. I guess we will have to take the plugs and wires off anyways. If I don't, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. It's gonna have to come off anyways because the heads are gonna come off this engine. So really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I can take all this stuff off, I guess. He can have my new wires, less the one that I burnt, I guess. Might as well just take them off now, to be honest. Man, I'm so proud of my new wires. Man, I thought for sure once I got this thing back together, I thought it was just going to be absolutely stupid to drive. I thought we finally had it figured out. It ran so good when I first fired it up in Iowa there, and then I had to pull the distributor back out because it was think it was a tooth off as well or something. I should have just done the move the wire thing at the same time there, but anyways, I did not. So, you know, whatever, you learn. But if I had done that, well, it didn't really matter. It only ran for 10 minutes and then the freaking rocker stepped back itself out. But man, that was the most crisp I've ever heard it run. It was like, man, you just touched the throttle. It was like, bah, bah, bah. I've never heard it actually sound like it had like real crisp, like, because it was always like even though it had like a little bit higher compression, which usually, you know, that kind of peps things up a little bit, because it always had before iron heads and things like that. It kind of made it was like counter active, so it sort of made it a little bit lazier. So I'm definitely not going to be finishing this today, but like I said, I figure I'll get a good head start on it anyways. I'm actually more excited that my son's excited, because my son wants this engine for his truck so he can get it back running again, drive it before it gets too hot. He's got a transmission that he just built it for, at a Turbo 350 he's building in his school there, which is pretty cool. It'll actually be a pretty handy skill for me to borrow from him. Make him do all the repairs on all that stuff. But I was hoping we'd have time. Maybe he could rebuild this one for me, but I'll probably just put it back in here for now. I don't really want to have to pull it back apart again when it does break, but it'd probably be totally fine if I just drove it around on street tires or whatever, because it just doesn't hook up right. I watched a bunch more videos yesterday on this, what this engine should do with this cam and everything, and the one size down from this was like 522 horsepower on Richard Holdner's dyno there, which was obviously a little bit higher because they run it without accessories and things like that. And then I think it was 550 or 548 or something with this cam. But it was interesting because with the intake that's on the engine that I bought it with, is what it looks like to me, with the carb, it made way more power, like all the way from like 3,000 to 7,000. It had more power, like a lot more power across the board. And he said he's never seen that before. So hopefully that's the case with this engine, but I'm sure it'll run way better than this one has been running for me. So like I said, it needed to come out. So it's time. It'll be fun, honestly, to try something a little bit different too. I'm kind of excited for it. So see what we can kind of do with it here, and it'll be fun just hopefully be able to drive it again. But I do want to paint it though. Like I said, it's to the point now where it's just due. You know, I can even see it just looking at it now. It's kind of bugging me a little bit. Now that we painted my truck and did a pretty good job on it, even though I didn't really know what I was doing, now if I did another vehicle that's as straight as this one and everything like that, I think I could actually do a really good paint job. Summit Racing makes awesome single stage paint. Just got to have a really good base down or whatever. And yeah, so I think that's what I'm going to try again, single stage. And I don't want to take it down to the metal, but I'll take it down quite a bit to get some of this crap off it that's been sprayed on it over the years. And then I'll probably spray it with some primer and sealer, and then hit it with some single stage, and hopefully it looks 10 times better than it does now. So I might touch up under the hood a little bit. I might even just rattle can it with some of the VHT stuff. That stuff actually looks pretty good when it gets sprayed. So see what it turns out like, but it's not too bad anyways. Little pressure sending unit back there. Nope, see my son tightened down the valve covers and he got it in there. That's why it's leaking. There's like tape stuck in there. He squeezed up the tack wire by accident when he was tightening it down last time, and then didn't realize it. Apparently he caught that too. Oh well. That's how you learn. No sense in getting mad about it. Just fix it. Yeah, it's pretty dirty under here though, so at least if nothing else, I'll just wash it and give it a really good pressure wash under here. And I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably touch it up a little bit, just I don't want things starting to rust under here. That's just surface rust there. I'll probably scuff that up a little bit and do some of the VHT stuff to it. I don't know how you would paint the rest of it here, to be honest. It's like there's so much stuff. I guess if I taped around some of that or whatever, but anyways, guess for now, probably the next step is the exhaust, which I'm dreading here, so I'm gonna cut off for that. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow me on social media, TK's Garage 405 on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.